history has a lot of great partnerships. Marlboro and Prince Eugene, for example, Churchill and FDR. Where is the Trump-Netanyahu partnership going to rank?
Well, that is a tough question, and it's a great question. I think that at this point, especially since I do think that this is the hostages will come back and we will see a kind of end of the war, and hopefully Hamas will either begin disarming themselves, which is doubtful, but or others may disarm them for them, including a lot of these local Gazan families who are now fighting them openly. But my sense at this point is that it will rank right up there. I mean, if you add the Iran operation, which was entirely successful, the more information we get about it, the more it looks like their entire, nuclear program has pretty much been set back, and it's going to be very difficult to recreate it. And then you look at how Netanyahu was the bad cop by striking Doha last month, and then Trump becomes the good cop and actually gets the Qataris to do what I would have liked them to do right after October 7th, but basically put the real pressure along with Turkey on Hamas, and that is going to end the war. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. And it's amazing to think that it's not the only accomplishment from Trump in foreign policy. I haven't seen a run like this. I mean, I can't think until the end of the Cold War with Reagan, maybe. I mean, and George H.W. Bush.
People forget really Armenia and Azerbaijan, for example.
Yes.
It matters a lot to Armenia and Azerbaijan. But I wanted to test out on you my theory, and I've trotted out on Special Report last night, on Newsroom this morning. I'll talk to Brian Kilmeade this weekend. I have the same theory, which is the Trump-Netanyahu partnership goes back to 2020 when Soleimani landed in Iraq with murder in his heart towards American soldiers. I think Israel helped Trump target and kill Soleimani. Then we go to the Abraham Accords, which Netanyahu, of course, has to okay. Then we take a 4-year holiday from history with the incoherence of the Biden administration and sort of a return to the JCPOA madness. Then Trump comes back, and it's only been 9 months. And not only did we get Midnight Hammer, we also had that elaborate ruse before it, the 60 days of negotiation, the bombing on the 61st day. But then we also had Trump saying, and I don't know if it's true, recall your bombers, Bibi. Don't let the last strike go in. And there's an appearance of a partnership there that builds confidence among everyone that if Trump and Netanyahu say A is going to happen. So I think it's a 5-year process. What do you make of my assessment?
I think it might even go back further. I mean, Netanyahu, there's a video that in 2015, before Trump, or even earlier, where Trump is endorsing Netanyahu, kind of makes a celebrity video endorsing him. I know that Ron Dermer has kind of had a relationship with Trump. They both went to Wharton Business School, and Ron Dermer, of course, he is the Henry Kissinger to Bibi's Richard Nixon. So, in my view, I think it might go back even more. And I think that personality-wise, they're the same. They have very similar experiences. They've both been the victims of an aggressive politicized kind of lawfare strategy. So I think that there is a lot of empathy between them. And, they come from a very different kind of perspective, but they've landed on a sort of what I would call a kind of a more moderate version of populism. I mean, Trump does not go as far in terms of the excesses of populism as some kind of people in the broader movement. Bibi doesn't go as far as his more right-wing flank, but they represent so well this kind of global shift, especially in the democratic or the Western world, towards populism and how to be successful at it. And
can, Eli, can you unpack Ron Dermer a little bit for me? I've met him once in Cleveland. Jay Pod and I were having a cup of coffee, and he rolled through our hotel. I got a chance to chat with him a little bit, but he's sort of media shy. He lets Bibi take all the questions. He'll talk to people occasionally. Where does he get his diplomatic chops from? Because they are substantial.
Well, Ron Dermer, he comes from a pretty important political family in Miami, Florida. His father was the mayor of Miami-Dade. They're both have kind of been very active in the Florida Republican Party. In a formative part of Ron Dermer's life in the 1990s and early 2000s. He worked very closely with Natan Sharansky, the great Soviet dissident. Absolutely. And he helped write the book that Sharansky wrote on the importance of freedom and living in free societies that was so influential in the George W. Bush administration. And then over time, I mean, Ron Dermer is one of the most competent, intelligent kind of people who understands a room, is very good at talking to people, kind of doing the retail politics. That's very important, gets things done, keeps his confidences, kind of doesn't fall for the obvious mistakes in the moment that a lot of people make out of emotion. Very level-headed, and has been, I think, shown his loyalty to both Netanyahu and other people around him. And I think he's an enormous asset inside Israel. People recognize, even though he's the Minister of Strategic Affairs, but he is probably the most important person in the cabinet besides Bibi.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.